Naomi Sinclair was supposed to have the perfect wedding to the city's most eligible bachelor, but when cold reality shattered the fairy tale, she ran, straight into the path of the enigmatic Victor Blackwood. Now, as danger lurks and sparks, fly she must decide. Is this a new prison, or her true escape? Before we get into the story, comment below where in the world you are watching from today. Naomi Sinclair stared at her reflection in the full-length mirror of the bridal suite. The white dress that had cost more than her yearly salary hugged her body perfectly. Her dark hair was styled in an elegant updo, with tiny white flowers woven throughout. By all accounts, she should have been the happiest woman in the world, but she wasn't. Her hands trembled as she adjusted the veil. In less than an hour, she would be walking down the aisle to marry Charles Harrison, one of the city's most eligible bachelors. Wealthy, handsome, and well-connected, he was the man most women dreamed of marrying. "You look absolutely stunning," her mother Diane exclaimed as she entered the room. "Charles won't be able to take his eyes off you." Naomi forced a smile. "Thanks, Mom. Are you okay, honey? You look pale." Diane approached her daughter, concerned. "Just wedding jitters," Naomi lied. The truth was far more complicated. For the past 6 months since Charles had proposed, Naomi had watched him transform from the charming man she'd fallen for into someone she barely recognized. His comments about her clothes, her friends, and her job had become increasingly controlling. Just last week he'd suggested, that she quit her job as a kindergarten teacher after they were married. Her Harrison wife doesn't work, he'd told her over dinner at an expensive restaurant, where she couldn't even argue without causing a scene. "You'll have charity events to attend, social obligations. That's your job now." "5 minutes, Miss Sinclair," the wedding coordinator called through the door. "I'll go find my seat," Diane said, squeezing her daughter's hand. "I'm so proud of you, sweetheart." As soon as the door closed behind her mother, Naomi felt like she couldn't breathe. She rushed to the window and pushed it open, gulping in the fresh spring air. The garden below was filled with guests in expensive suits and designer dresses. White roses adorned every available surface. It was the perfect wedding, perfect for someone else. Naomi's phone buzzed with a text message. It was from Charles. "Remember to smile. The society photographer will be watching. And please don't embarrass me with those nervous habits of yours." That was the moment Naomi knew. This wasn't pre-wedding anxiety. This was her instinct screaming at her to run. Without thinking twice, she grabbed her small purse that contained her phone and wallet, hitched up her dress, and headed for the door. She peered into the hallway. Empty. Everyone was already seated for the ceremony, waiting for her grand entrance. Instead of turning right toward the garden where the wedding was set up, she turned left toward the service entrance she'd noticed during the rehearsal. Her heart pounded so hard she could hear it in her ears as she pushed through the door and found herself outside. Naomi ran, the beaded train of her dress dragged behind her, catching on the gravel driveway. She didn't care. She ran past parked luxury cars, past the valet attendants who stared at her in shock, and onto the street. Miss, are you okay?" one of them called after her. She ignored him and kept running. She had no plan, no destination. All she knew was that she couldn't marry Charles Harrison. After several blocks, her lungs burning and her feet blistering in the white satin heels, Naomi slowed to a walk. People on the sidewalk stared as she passed. A runaway bride wasn't something you saw every day, even in this wealthy part of town. Her phone had been buzzing nonstop. Texts from her bridesmaids, her mother, Charles. She turned it off without reading any of them. Dark clouds gathered overhead, and Naomi looked up just as the first raindrops fell. Perfect. Within seconds it was pouring, and her carefully styled hair and makeup were ruined. The once pristine dress now clung to her like a wet dish rag. She needed somewhere to hide, to think. The rain was coming down harder now, and she spotted an open wrought iron gate leading to what appeared to be a large private estate set back from the road. Without hesitation, she darted through it, seeking shelter under the thick canopy of trees that lined the long driveway. The property was enormous, with manicured lawns and gardens, surrounding what looked like a modern mansion in the distance. Naomi had never seen this place before, despite growing up in this city. She made her way toward a gazebo she spotted near a small pond, hoping to stay out of sight until she figured out what to do next. As she huddled in the gazebo, soaking wet and shivering, Naomi finally allowed herself to cry. What had she done? Where would she go? Charles would be furious. Her mother would be heartbroken. The embarrassment would be all over the society pages by tomorrow. This is private property. The deep voice startled her so badly that she nearly fell off the bench. Standing at the entrance to the gazebo was a tall man with broad shoulders, dressed casually in jeans and a dark sweater. His face was stern, with sharp cheekbones and intense dark eyes that studied her with suspicion. I'm sorry, Naomi stammered, trying to wipe away her tears. It was raining and I just needed— You're wearing a wedding dress, he stated flatly. Naomi looked down at her ruined gown. I was supposed to get married today, and instead, you're trespassing on my property. His voice wasn't exactly angry, more curious. I'll leave right away, she said, standing up quickly. I didn't mean to trespass. As she moved to step past him, a wave of dizziness washed over her. She stumbled, and to her surprise, the man caught her arm, steadying her. When was the last time you ate something? He asked, his grip firm but not painful. Naomi tried to remember. Yesterday, maybe. I was too nervous this morning. The man sighed deeply, as if annoyed with himself for what he was about to say. You can't go anywhere in this storm. Come to the house, dry off, and have something to eat. Then you can call whoever you need to pick you up. I can't call anyone, Naomi said, panic rising in her voice. They'll make me go back. I can't go back. The man studied her for a long moment. The rain drummed on the gazebo roof. I'm Victor Blackwood, he finally said. And you are? Naomi. Naomi Sinclair. Well, Naomi Sinclair, you look like you're running from something serious. His eyes narrowed. Are you in some kind of trouble? She hesitated. Not the kind you're thinking. No one's hurting me physically. It's just, I couldn't marry him. I realized he wasn't who I thought he was. Victor seemed to consider this, then nodded once. The house is this way. She followed him along a stone path, trying to keep up despite her waterlogged dress and uncomfortable shoes. The mansion was even more impressive up close. All clean lines, glass and stone, with a minimalist aesthetic that somehow still managed to look warm. Wait here, Victor said, when they entered through a side door into what appeared to be a mudroom. He disappeared and returned moments later with a fluffy towel and a stack of clothes. Bathroom's through there. You can change. Thank you, Naomi, said genuinely grateful. The bathroom was larger than her entire apartment. She peeled off the wet wedding dress, wincing as she discovered new blisters on her feet. The clothes Victor had given her, sweatpants and a t-shirt that obviously belonged to a woman, were soft and dry. She toweled her hair as best she could and used a tissue to wipe away the streaks of mascara under her eyes. When she emerged, Victor was waiting in a spacious kitchen with gleaming countertops and state-of-the-art appliances. A sandwich and a glass of water sat on the island counter. Eat, he said simply. Naomi didn't need to be told twice. She hadn't realized how hungry she was until the food was in front of her. Victor watched her with an unreadable expression as she ate. "These aren't your clothes," she said between bites. "They belong to my sister. She leaves things here sometimes. Does she live nearby?" "No," he said curtly, in a tone that discouraged further questions on that topic. When she finished eating, Victor filled an electric kettle with water. "Tea? Yes, please." Naomi wrapped her hands around the warm mug he handed her, taking comfort in the simple gesture. "So," Victor said, leaning against the counter. "What's your plan?" "I don't have one," she admitted. "I just knew I couldn't marry Charles. It was like I suddenly saw everything clearly. He doesn't love me. He loves the idea of me, the perfect wife he can show off and control." Victor's expression remained. "Neutral? And your family?" "My mother adores Charles. She thinks I won the lottery by catching his attention. My father died when I was young, so it's just her. She's probably mortified right now." Naomi felt a pang of guilt. "I should call her, at least let her know I'm safe, but she'll try to convince me to go back. Where will you go after this?" "I have a friend, Melissa, who might let me stay with." "Her? But Charles knows where she lives." Naomi bit her lip. "I need a hotel, just for a few days until I figure things out." Victor was quiet for a moment, seeming to have an internal debate. Finally, he said, "You can stay here." Naomi's eyes widened. "What?" "No, I couldn't impose. This house has 6 bedrooms. You can use one of them until you sort out your situation." His tone was matter-of-fact, unless you'd prefer a hotel. "I don't understand why you'd help me. You don't even know me." Victor's lips curved slightly, not quite a smile. "Let's just say I recognize someone in need of refuge when I see them." Before Naomi could respond, a phone rang. Victor pulled his cell from his pocket, glanced at the screen, and frowned. "I need to take this. There's a guest room upstairs, first door on the right. Make yourself comfortable." He walked away, already answering the call with a curt "Blackwood." Left alone in the kitchen, Naomi tried to process what had just happened. This morning, she was about to marry one of the city's most powerful men. Now she was wearing a stranger's clothes in a stranger's house, accepting his offer of shelter. It was surreal. The rational part of her brain warned that she knew nothing about Victor Blackwood. He could be dangerous, but something in her gut told her she was safer here than she would be returning to Charles. Upstairs, the guest room was simple but luxurious, with a queen-sized bed covered in crisp white linens and large windows overlooking the garden. Naomi sat on the edge of the bed, suddenly exhausted. The adrenaline that had carried her this far was wearing off, leaving her drained. Her wet wedding dress lay in a heap on the bathroom floor downstairs. She should hang it up, try to salvage it, but part of her wanted to burn it, to erase all evidence of the day she'd almost made the biggest mistake of her life. She lay back on the bed, her eyelids heavy. Just a short rest, she told herself. Then she'd figure out what to do next. When Naomi woke, the room was dark except for the soft glow of a bedside lamp that hadn't been on before. She sat up, disoriented. According to the clock on the nightstand, it was just past 9 p.m. She'd slept for hours. On the chair near the window, she spotted clothes that hadn't been there earlier. Jeans, a sweater, socks, and even a package of new underwear with the tag still on. Next to them was a note in a bold, angular handwriting. "These should fit. Kitchen is stocked if you're hungry. Help yourself." The simple courtesy brought unexpected tears to her eyes. When was the last time someone had done something kind for her without expecting anything in return? After washing her face and changing into the new clothes, which fit surprisingly well, Naomi ventured downstairs. The house was quiet, but warm lights illuminated the hallway. She found her way back to the kitchen and opened the refrigerator, which was indeed well stocked. She made herself a simple sandwich and poured a glass of juice. As she ate at the kitchen island, she heard footsteps approaching. Victor appeared in the doorway, now dressed in dark pants and a gray button-down shirt. He looked like he'd just come from a business meeting. "You're up," he said. "Thank you for the clothes and for letting me sleep." He nodded. "Your phone's been ringing. I put it on the charger in the living room." Naomi had almost forgotten about her phone. "How many calls?" "At least 20 since I plugged it in." "Someone named Charles seems particularly persistent." Her stomach nodded. "I should probably check my messages." "Probably," Victor agreed. He hesitated, then added, "But it can wait until morning, if you're not ready." Naomi felt a rush of gratitude for his understanding. "I'm not. Ready, I mean." Victor moved to a cabinet, pulled out a bottle of whiskey and 2 glasses. He poured a small amount in each and slid one toward her. "To escape roots," he said, raising his glass slightly. Naomi picked up her glass. 2 unexpected refugees. They drank in silence. The whiskey burned pleasantly down her throat. "Why are you helping me?" she asked again. Most people would have called security when they found a stranger hiding on their property. Victor took another sip before answering. "I know what it's like to need to disappear for a while." Something in his tone told her not to push for more details. Instead, she asked, "What do you do, Victor?" "For work, I mean." "I own a technology company. We develop security software. Is that why you live behind gates with a security system?" she asked, remembering the cameras she'd noticed. "Partly," he admitted. "I value my privacy. The tabloids call me a recluse." "Are you a recluse?" A hint of a smile appeared. "I prefer selective about company." Naomi couldn't help smiling back. "Well, thank you for selecting my company today. I don't know what I would have done if you'd turned me away. You would have figured something out. You're obviously resourceful." Victor finished his whiskey and set down the glass. "Tomorrow we can discuss your next steps, unless you plan to hide in wedding dresses in strangers' gazebos indefinitely." His dry humor surprised a laugh out of her. "Not my best plan, I admit. Get some rest, Naomi. Things often look clearer in the morning." As she watched him leave the kitchen, Naomi wondered about the man who had given her shelter when she needed it most. There was kindness beneath his gruff exterior, but also sadness. She recognized it because she'd seen it in her own eyes too many times. For the first time since she'd fled her wedding, Naomi felt a small measure of peace. She didn't know what tomorrow would bring, but for tonight, she was safe in this unexpected refuge, and sometimes that was enough. The morning sunlight streaming through the windows woke Naomi. For a moment she was disoriented, expecting to see her own apartment. Then the memories of yesterday came rushing back, running from her wedding. Finding shelter in Victor Blackwood's home, she lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. By now, everyone would know she'd left Charles at the altar. Her mother would be beside herself with worry and disappointment. Her friends would be confused, and Charles would be furious. The thought of checking her phone filled her with dread, but she couldn't hide forever. Naomi got up, washed her face, and headed downstairs. She found Victor in the kitchen, dressed in running clothes, drinking coffee, and reading something on his tablet. "Good morning," she said hesitantly. Victor looked up. "There's coffee, and I had some groceries delivered. Help yourself. You've already done so much." "It's just food, Naomi," he said, cutting off her thanks. "Your phone's in the living room. It rang until the battery died last night. I plugged it in again." She nodded, poured herself a cup of coffee, and steeled herself to face reality. In the living room, Her phone showed finata missed calls, 93 text messages, and 28 voicemails. Most were from Charles and her mother, but there were also messages from friends, and even some numbers she didn't recognize. With trembling hands, she listened to the first voicemail from her mother. "Naomi, where are you? Please call me back. Everyone's worried sick. Charles is devastated. Whatever cold feet you're having, we can work through this. Just come back." The next few messages from her mom followed the same pattern, concern mixed with pressure to return. Then came a message from Charles. "Naomi, this is completely unacceptable behavior. Do you have any idea how humiliated I am? The press is having a field day. Get back here immediately, and we'll figure out how to fix this mess you've created." His tone was cold, controlling, the very reason she'd run in the first place. She deleted the message and moved to the next one. Also from Charles, now sounding angrier. "If you think you can embarrass me like this and get away with it, you're mistaken. I've invested too much in this relationship to let you throw it away on some emotional whim. I have people looking for you. They will find you." A chill ran down Naomi's spine. The threat in his voice was unmistakable. "Bad news?" Victor's voice came from behind her. He was leaning against the doorway, watching her with those intense eyes. "Charles is having people look for me," she said, hating how her voice shook. "He sounds different, dangerous." Victor stepped into the room. "May I?" He gestured to her phone. Naomi handed it to him, and he listened to the last message, his expression hardening. "He's trying to intimidate you," Victor said, returning the phone. "Men like that rely on fear to maintain control. You sound like you know the type." "I've dealt with my share of bullies in the business world." He paused. "What are you going to do?" Naomi ran a hand through her hair. "I need to call my mother at least. She must be worried sick, but I'm not going back to Charles. That much, I know. Use my office if you want privacy," Victor offered, pointing to a door across the hall. "I have some work to take care of anyway." The office was as immaculate as the rest of the house, with a large desk facing floor-to-ceiling windows that overlooked the back gardens. Naomi sat in the leather chair and dialed her mother's number, her heart pounding. Diane answered on the first ring. "Naomi? Oh, thank God. Where are you? Are you all right?" "I'm fine, Mom. I'm safe," Naomi assured her. "I'm sorry for worrying you. What were you thinking? Running out like that? Do you have any idea what you've done? The Harrisons are furious. Charles is beside himself. Mom, I couldn't marry him. He's not who I thought he was. What are you talking about? Charles adores you. He's given you everything." Naomi closed her eyes. "No, Mom. He was trying to control me. He wanted me to quit my job. He criticized everything I did. This isn't how a man treats someone he loves. That's ridiculous. He's just looking out for you. Men like Charles have expectations, Naomi. Being his wife comes with responsibilities. Like giving up who I am? No, thank you." Her mother sighed heavily. "Where are you staying?" "I'll come get you." "I'm staying with a friend," Naomi lied. "I need some time to think." "You can think at home. Charles is willing to forgive you if you come back now." He even suggested postponing the wedding for a month to let things settle down. "Mom, listen to me," Naomi said firmly. "I am not marrying Charles. Not in a month. Not ever. I made a mistake getting engaged to him, and I'm fixing that mistake. You're throwing away the best thing that ever happened to you." Her mother's voice rose. "Your father would be so disappointed." The words stung, but Naomi held firm. "Dad would want me to be happy. Charles doesn't make me happy. You're being childish. Call me when you're ready to be sensible." The line went dead. Naomi set the phone down, fighting back tears. She'd expected her mother to be upset, but the immediate defense of Charles hurt more than she'd anticipated. A soft knock at the door startled her. Victor stood there, holding 2 mugs. "I thought you might need this," he said, offering her a fresh cup of coffee. "Thank you." She took the mug gratefully. "Sorry for using your office so long." It sounded like a difficult conversation. He leaned against the desk. "Family rarely understands when we step off the expected path. My mother thinks I'm throwing my life away." Naomi sipped the coffee. Maybe a part of me believed that marrying Charles was my only option too. He pursued me so intensely, made me feel special, until I didn't feel special anymore. I felt owned. Victor nodded. "It's a common tactic. Overwhelm with attention, then slowly isolate and control. You sound like you've seen it before." "My sister," Victor said quietly. "She married a man like your Charles. It took her 5 years and a broken arm to leave him." Naomi's eyes widened. "I'm so sorry. She's in Europe now, rebuilding her life." Victor's expression softened slightly. "Those aren't her clothes you're wearing, by the way. I had my assistant pick them up." "Oh." Naomi looked down at the jeans and sweater. "They fit perfectly. Mia is good at her job." Victor set his mug down. "Speaking of jobs, I need to attend to some business matters. Make yourself at home. There's a library down the hall if you get bored." After he left, Naomi wandered through the house, curious about the man who had taken her in. The place was beautifully designed, but felt more like a showcase than a home. There were few personal touches, no family photos, no mementos. In the library, floor-to-ceiling bookshelves held an impressive collection. Everything meticulously organized. She pulled out a well-worn copy of Jane Eyre and settled into a comfortable armchair. The familiar story provided a welcome escape from her own drama. Hours later, Victor found her there, still reading. "How you like the classics?" he observed. Naomi looked up. "My father used to read them to me when I was little. He said good stories never go out of style. Your father sounds wise." "He was." She closed the book. "He died when I was 12. Heart attack. I lost my parents when I was 23. Victor offered. "Car accident." "I'm sorry." Naomi studied him. "Is that why you live alone? In this big house?" A shadow crossed his face. "I prefer the solitude. It's simpler. Simpler, maybe, but lonely." "Being alone and being lonely aren't the same thing," Victor said. But something in his tone suggested he wasn't entirely convinced of his own words. Before Naomi could respond, her phone rang. She checked the screen and her face paled. "It's Charles. You don't have to answer. If I don't, he'll just keep calling." She took a deep breath and answered. "Hello? Where the hell are you?" Charles's voice was cold with fury. "I'm safe. That's all you need to know." "That's not how this works, Naomi. I've spent months planning. This wedding, introducing you to the right people, investing in your future with me. You don't get to just walk away." "Actually, that's exactly what I get to do," she replied, finding courage she didn't know she had. "I don't want to marry you, Charles. Is there someone else? Is that it?" "No, this is about us, about how you treat me." He laughed, a harsh sound. "How I treat you? I've given you everything. Designer clothes, jewelry, introduced you to people you never could have met on a teacher's salary. I was going to give you a life most women only dream about. You were going to give me a cage," Naomi said firmly. "I don't want your things, Charles. I just want my freedom. This isn't over, Naomi. I will find you." The threat in his voice was unmistakable. "No one makes a fool of me." The call ended, and Naomi put the phone down with shaking hands. He's not taking this well, Victor observed dryly. No. She looked up at him. I'm sorry to bring this trouble to your doorstep. Maybe I should go somewhere else. Charles has resources. If he finds out I'm here, he might cause problems for you. Victor's expression hardened. Let him try. I've dealt with worse than spoiled, entitled businessmen used to getting their way. You don't understand. Charles's family has connections. His father is on the city council. They donate to the police foundation. And my company provides the security systems for half the government buildings in this state. Victor replied calmly. Trust me, Naomi. I can handle Charles Harrison. The confidence in his voice was reassuring. For the first time since running from her wedding, Naomi felt truly safe. Now, Victor continued, I've arranged for a new phone for you. Your current one is probably how he'll try to track you. We'll get you set up with a temporary number until this blows over. You've thought of everything, Naomi said, surprised by his thoroughness. It's what I do. Identify vulnerabilities. Secure them. He walked to the window. Your ex-fiancé will eventually move on when he realizes you're serious about ending things. I hope you're right. Naomi joined him at the window, looking out at the garden where she'd hidden just yesterday. It feels like a lifetime ago that I was standing in that wedding dress. Do you regret it? Running? No, she said without hesitation. It was the most honest thing I've done in months. Victor turned to face her, and for the first time, she saw a genuine smile transform his serious face. Good for you. That smile did something strange to Naomi's heart. For a fleeting moment, she glimpsed the man beneath the carefully constructed walls, and she liked what she saw. The moment was interrupted by the doorbell. Victor's smile vanished, replaced by a wary expression. Stay here, he instructed. I'm not expecting anyone. From the library window, Naomi watched as Victor answered the front door. She couldn't see who was there, but Victor's posture was tense. The conversation was brief, and soon he was closing the door and returning to the library. What? Was it? She asked nervously. A messenger with an invitation to some charity gala next weekend. Victor tossed the envelope onto a side table. Nothing important. Relief washed over her. For a moment, I thought. That Charles had found you? Victor shook his head. Even if he did, I wouldn't let him near you. The protectiveness in his voice surprised her. Why do you care what happens to me? We just met. Victor was quiet for a moment. I told you about my sister. What I didn't tell you is that I knew what was happening for months before she finally left him. I saw the signs, but didn't intervene. I thought it wasn't my place. His jaw tightened. I won't make that mistake again. You can't save everyone. Victor, I'm not trying to save everyone. Just you. The intensity in his dark eyes made her breath catch. For now, at least. For the next few days, Naomi settled into a routine at Victor's house. He gave her a new phone with a different number and helped her set up a secure email account. During the days, Victor worked either in his home office or at his company headquarters downtown, while Naomi spent time reading in the library or walking in the gardens. In the evenings, they would have dinner together, usually ordered in since. Neither of them were skilled cooks. Their conversations gradually became more relaxed, less guarded. Naomi learned that Victor had built his security company from scratch after college, turning an early software innovation into a multi-million-dollar enterprise. He discovered that she had always wanted to open her own preschool someday, a dream she'd set aside when she started dating Charles. Why did you? Victor asked one evening as they sat on the terrace with glasses of wine. Set aside your dream, I mean. Naomi sighed. Charles made it sound impossible, too risky, too much work, for too little reward. He said I could do charity work with children instead if I really wanted to play teacher. She made air quotes around the phrase. Victor's expression darkened. He sounds like an ass. The blunt assessment made Naomi laugh. He is. I just didn't see it clearly until recently. What will you do now? Go back to teaching? I don't know. I loved my job at the elementary school, but Charles made me quit when we got engaged. He said his fiancée shouldn't be working for such a small salary. So that's your first step, Victor said matter-of-factly. Get your job back. It's not that simple. The school year's already started. They've hired someone else. Then find another school. Or start planning that preschool of yours. His confidence in her was both flattering and intimidating. I can't just start a business. I don't have the resources or experience. Victor set down his wine glass. What would you need to make it happen? Space, funding, licenses, staff. Naomi trailed off, then smiled ruefully. See? Impossible. Nothing's impossible. It's just a question of solving problems one at a time. Victor leaned forward. If that's what you really want, don't let anyone convince you it's beyond your reach. Looking into his eyes, Naomi felt something shift between them. There was genuine concern there. And something else. Belief. In her that she hadn't felt from anyone in a long time. Thank you, she said softly, for everything. Victor held her gaze for a moment longer than necessary, then looked away. It's getting late. I have an early meeting tomorrow. As they cleared the dishes together, their hands brushed, sending an unexpected jolt through Naomi. She stepped back quickly, unsettled by her reaction. Good night, Victor, she said, heading for the stairs. Naomi, he called after her. When she turned, he seemed to be struggling with what to say. Finally, he simply offered, Sleep well. In her room, Naomi sat on the edge of the bed, confused by the feelings stirring inside her. It was too soon after Charles to be thinking about another man. Besides, Victor had only offered her shelter out of kindness, or perhaps obligation, due to his sister's experience. She shouldn't misinterpret. That yet, as she drifted off to sleep, it was Victor's rare smile that filled her thoughts. The next morning, Naomi woke to an empty house. Victor had left early for his meeting, leaving a note on the kitchen counter. Help yourself to anything. Back by dinner. V. After breakfast, Naomi decided to check her old email, curious if anyone from her former school had reached out. Among the flood of messages from concerned friends was an email from her best friend, Melissa. I'm worried sick about you. Please tell me you're okay. Charles has been telling everyone you had some kind of breakdown. He even came by my place looking for you. Call me when you can. Naomi immediately dialed Melissa's number on her new phone. Hello, Melissa answered cautiously. Mel, it's me, Naomi. I'm using a new number. Naomi, oh my God, where have you been? I've been so worried. I'm safe. I'm staying with a friend. Naomi hesitated to share too many details. A friend? Who? I thought I was your best friend. It's complicated. I just needed to get away from Charles. Melissa's voice lowered. He's been acting scary, Naomi. Going around questioning all your friends, making weird threats. He implied he could get my boyfriend fired if I was hiding you. Fear clenched Naomi's stomach. I'm so sorry he dragged you into this. What happened? 1 minute you were getting married, the next you're gone. I realized I couldn't go through with it. Charles isn't who I thought he was. He's controlling, manipulative. I tried to tell you, Melissa said gently. Remember when he surprised you by trading in your car for that luxury model? I said then it seemed more about controlling you than pleasing you. You were right, Naomi sighed. I just couldn't see it. So what now? Are you coming back? Not yet. I need time to figure things out. But I'll stay in touch, I promise. After they hung up, Naomi felt restless. She couldn't hide in Victor's house forever. Sooner or later she would have to rebuild her life. On impulse, she opened her laptop and began researching what it would take to open a preschool. Victor was right. It was a series of problems to be solved, not an impossible dream. By the time she heard his car in the driveway that evening, she had pages of notes and a renewed sense of purpose. Victor entered the kitchen looking tired, but smiled when he saw her. "You look busy," he observed, loosening his tie. "I've been researching." "Starting a preschool," Naomi admitted. "You inspired me." His smile widened. "Good. What have you learned?" As they prepared dinner together, a simple pasta dish that was the extent of Victor's cooking skills, Naomi shared her findings with enthusiasm. Victor listened attentively, asking thoughtful questions and offering practical suggestions. "The biggest hurdle is startup funding," Naomi concluded. "I have some savings, but nowhere near enough." Victor hesitated before saying, "I could help with that." "No," Naomi said firmly. "You've done enough already. I can't take your money too. It wouldn't be charity. It would be an investment." He served the pasta onto plates. "Think about it." Before Naomi could respond, the doorbell rang, followed by insistent knocking. Victor frowned. "Stay here," he instructed, moving toward the front door. Naomi's heart raced as she heard voices in the hallway, Victor's deep tone, and then another voice that made her blood run cold. "Charles." She froze, unsure whether to hide or confront him. The decision was made for her when both men appeared in the kitchen doorway. Charles's handsome face was tight with anger. "So, this is where you've been hiding." His eyes raked over her, then turned accusingly to Victor. With him, Victor's expression was dangerously calm. "Mr. Harrison, as I explained, Naomi is here as my guest. She doesn't wish to speak with you. I don't care what you think she wishes," Charles snapped. "Naomi, get your things. We're leaving." Naomi found her voice. "No, Charles, I'm not going anywhere with you. This isn't a game, Naomi. Do you have any idea what you've done, the embarrassment you've caused me? My father had to call in favors just to keep this out of the national press. I'm sorry for embarrassing you, but I'm not sorry for leaving." "We shouldn't be together," Charles laughed coldly. "And what? You think you belong with him?" He gestured dismissively at Victor. "You've known this man for, what, a week? I've invested 2 years in you, Naomi. 2 years of molding you, introducing you to the right people, teaching you how to behave in my world." "That's exactly the problem," Naomi replied, anger rising. "You were trying to mold me into someone I'm not. I don't want to be in your world if it means losing myself." Charles stepped toward her, but Victor moved between them. "I think you should leave," Victor said, his voice deadly quiet. "This doesn't concern you, Blackwood. You're in my house, threatening a woman under my protection. It very much concerns me." The two men stared at each other, tension crackling between them. Finally, Charles took a step back. "This isn't over," he said to Naomi. "You think you can just walk away? You signed a prenuptial agreement. The engagement ring alone is worth $50,000. I could sue you for breach of promise. Take the ring. Take everything you ever gave me. I don't want any of it. It's not about the things, Naomi. It's about the principle. No one leaves Charles Harrison. No one." He turned to Victor. "And you think I don't know who you are. The reclusive tech genius with the tragic past. I have friends in high places. I can make things very difficult for your company." Victor's smile was chilling. "I welcome you to try, Mr. Harrison. Now get out of my house before I have security. Remove you." For a moment, Charles looked like he might lunge at Victor. Instead, he straightened his expensive jacket and gave Naomi one last cold look. "You'll regret this," he promised before storming out. When the front door slammed, Naomi let out a breath she didn't realize she'd been holding. Victor turned to her, concern evident in his eyes. "Are you all right?" She nodded, though she was shaking. "How did he find me?" "That's something we need to figure out." Victor pulled out his phone. "I'm having my security team do a sweep of the house and grounds. If he planted something or someone to track you here, we'll find it." As the reality of Charles's threats sank in, Naomi felt tears welling up. "I'm so sorry, Victor. I've brought nothing but trouble to your door." To her surprise, Victor reached out and took her hand. His touch was warm, reassuring. "Naomi, look at me," he said gently. When she met his eyes, he continued. "Charles Harrison is a bully who's used to getting his way. Men like him make threats because they've learned it works. But I promise you, he can't hurt me, and as long as you're here, he can't hurt you either." The conviction in his voice made her believe him. Victor Blackwood might be a mystery in many ways, but one thing was becoming clear to Naomi. Beneath his reserved exterior was a man of remarkable strength and surprising tenderness. And despite the chaos swirling around them, she found herself drawn to that strength, wanting to know more about the man who had become her unexpected refuge. The morning after Charles's unexpected visit, Victor's security team arrived early. They were thorough and professional, sweeping the entire property for surveillance devices. By noon, they had their answer. "We found a tracker on your car," the lead security expert told Naomi. "It was placed under the rear bumper. Sophisticated. Equipment expensive. Your ex-fiancé has resources." Naomi felt sick. "But I don't have a car here." The man glanced at Victor, who nodded for him to continue. "The wedding dress," the security expert explained. There was a tracking device sewn into the hem. Very small, easy to miss unless you're looking for it. "The dress?" Naomi's voice rose, in disbelief. "That means he was planning this even before the wedding. He was tracking me all along." Victor dismissed the security team with instructions to finish checking the grounds, then turned to Naomi. "Charles is more dangerous than I thought. He was monitoring your movements even when you were together." "I feel violated," Naomi whispered, wrapping her arms around herself. "What kind of man does that? The kind who sees people as possessions." Victor's expression was grim. "We've removed both trackers, but we need to assume he'll try other methods to keep tabs on you. I can't believe this is happening. 2 weeks ago, I was getting ready to marry him, and now Naomi sank onto the sofa. I never really knew him at all." Victor sat beside her. "People like Charles show you what they want you to see until they believe they have you. And now that I've challenged him, he's showing his true colors." Naomi ran her hands through her hair in frustration. "What do I do now? I can't hide here forever." "No, but you can be careful while you rebuild your life," Victor said. "Don't let him win by making you afraid." His words sparked something in Naomi. Determination. Maybe even defiance. "You're right. I need to start taking steps forward." Victor nodded approval in his eyes. "What's first on your list?" "Finding a job," she said firmly. "I need income. Independence. I might be able to help with that," Victor offered. "My company funds an educational foundation. They're looking for someone to coordinate their early childhood programs." Naomi's eyes widened. "Are you offering me a job?" "I'm suggesting you apply for one," Victor clarified. "The foundation director makes the hiring decisions, not me. But your experience as a kindergarten teacher would be relevant." "I don't know what to say." "Say you'll think about it." Victor stood up. "Either way, you should get your resume updated. You can use my office." Over the next few days, Naomi threw herself into preparation. Updating her resume, researching the foundation, and practicing interview questions. Victor gave her space to work, but was available when she needed advice. In the evenings, they continued their dinners together, their conversations growing deeper, more personal. "Tell me about your sister," Naomi asked one night, as they sat in the living room after dinner. "Is she like you?" Victor's lips curved slightly. "Helena is my opposite in many ways. Outgoing, impulsive, wears her heart on her sleeve. But she's just as stubborn as I am. You miss her." "Yes," he admitted. "But she's happy in Paris. After what she went through with her ex-husband, she deserves peace." "What happened?" Naomi asked gently. "You mentioned she took 5 years to leave." Victor was quiet for a moment, swirling the whiskey in his glass. Robert seemed perfect at first. Charming, successful, attentive. By the time they got married, he had already started isolating her from friends and family, but subtly. We didn't see each other as often, but I assumed they were just busy. Naomi nodded. The pattern sounded painfully familiar. 3 years in, I noticed bruises on her wrist at a family dinner. She said she fell. I believed her because I wanted to. Victor's voice hardened. It got worse. She made excuses not to see me. When we did meet, she was nervous, constantly checking her phone. Classic signs I should have recognized. "It's not your fault, Victor. I should have intervened sooner." His eyes met hers, filled with regret. The night she finally left him, he broke her arm because she was 10 minutes late coming home from the grocery store. "She called me from the emergency room." Naomi reached out impulsively and took his hand. But she got out. "You helped her." Victor's fingers tightened around hers. "I bought her a one-way ticket to Paris the next day and made sure Robert understood there would be consequences if he tried to follow her." "What kind of consequences?" Naomi asked, curious about what Victor might have done. A dark smile crossed his face. "Let's just say my company has access to a lot of sensitive information." Robert decided a fresh start without Helena was his best option. Naomi should have been alarmed by the implication, but instead, she felt a strange sense of security. Victor protected the people he cared about, fiercely, without apology. "Thank you for telling me," she said, still holding his hand. "And thank you for understanding why I had to run from Charles." Victor looked down at their joined hands, something unreadable in his expression. Slowly, reluctantly, he pulled away. "It's getting late," he said, standing up. "You have the interview tomorrow. You should get some rest." Naomi felt a pang of disappointment at the broken connection. "Right. Good night, Victor." As she headed upstairs, she couldn't help wondering if she had imagined the moment of tension between them, the hint that Victor might feel the same confusing attraction she was experiencing. The next morning, Victor drove Naomi to the foundation office for her interview. She wore a simple but elegant blue dress, borrowed from Mia's latest shopping delivery. "You don't have to wait for me," she told Victor as they pulled up to the building. "I can take a cab back." "I'll wait," he said simply. "Good luck, though you won't need it." His confidence bolstered her own. The interview went better than Naomi had dared hope. The foundation director, Dr. Eleanor Winters, was a warm, intelligent woman who seemed genuinely impressed with Naomi's passion for early childhood education. "Your experience is exactly what we're looking for," Dr. Winters said, as the interview concluded. "And your vision for expanding access to quality preschool aligns perfectly with our mission." "Thank you. This opportunity means a lot to me," Dr. Winters smiled. "I should mention that Victor speaks very highly of you. He rarely recommends candidates." Personally, Naomi felt a flush of pleasure at the thought of Victor praising her. "We've become friends recently." "Victor Blackwood doesn't have many friends," Dr. Winters observed. "He must see something special in you." The comment stayed with Naomi as she left the building to find Victor waiting in his car as his face brightened when he saw her. "How did it go?" he asked as she slid into the passenger seat. "Really? Well, I think Dr. Winters is amazing. She's the best at what she does," Victor agreed. "Did she offer you the job?" "Not yet. She said they have a few more candidates to interview, but will decide by the end of the week." Naomi turned to face him. "She mentioned that you recommended me." Victor kept his eyes on the road. "I simply told her you were qualified." "Thank you. It means a lot." He nodded, seemingly uncomfortable with her gratitude. "Are you hungry? We could get lunch before heading back." They stopped at a small Italian restaurant tucked away on a side street. It was cozy and intimate, with checkered tablecloths and candles in wine bottles. "I haven't been here in years," Victor said as they were seated. "It used to be my parents' favorite place." Naomi realized he was sharing something precious with her, a connection to his past. "What were they like? Your parents?" Victor's face softened with memory. "My father was brilliant, driven, but always made time for family. My mother was the heart of our home. Warm, intuitive, full of life. They were partners in every sense. When they died, it was like the light went out of the world. That's why you live alone," Naomi realized. "You lost your model for what relationships should be." Victor looked startled by her insight. "I never thought of it that way, but perhaps you're right. After they died, I focused on building the business, taking care of Helena. Relationships seemed unnecessary complications. And now," he met her eyes across the table. "Now I'm not so sure." The moment was charged with unspoken possibility. Naomi felt her heart beating faster as Victor reached across the table and lightly touched her hand. The spell was broken by the waiter arriving with their food. As they ate, the conversation shifted to lighter topics. But something had changed. Between them, an acknowledgement of feelings that could no longer be easily dismissed. After lunch, they drove back to Victor's house in comfortable silence. As they pulled into the driveway, Victor's phone rang. He checked the screen and frowned. "I need to take this. It's the office," he answered with a curt "Blackwood." Naomi got out of the car, giving him privacy for the call. She was halfway to the front door when a sleek black car pulled up behind them. The driver's door opened, and Charles stepped out. Fear and anger twisted inside her. "What are you doing here?" Charles approached with a bland smile. "I came to talk sense into you. This has gone on long enough, Naomi." Victor was out of his car in an instant. Phone call forgotten. "You're trespassing, Harrison," Charles ignored, him focusing on Naomi. "I've been patient. I've given you time to get over whatever crisis you're having. Now it's time to come home." "This is insane," Naomi said. "I'm not coming back, Charles. I've told you that. You're confused, emotional." Charles reached for her arm, but Victor stepped between them. "Touch her, and it will be the last thing you do," Victor warned, his voice deadly quiet. Charles's face hardened. "I should have known you'd be sleeping with him. Was he the reason all along? Did you have this planned before the wedding?" "It's not like that," Naomi protested. "Victor has been a friend when I needed one." "A friend?" Charles laughed coldly. "Do you really expect me to believe that? The man's reputation with women is legendary." Naomi glanced at Victor, confused. This was the first she'd heard of any reputation. "Whatever you're implying, Harrison, you're wrong," Victor said evenly. "Now leave before I call the police." "Go ahead." Charles smiled unpleasantly. "My father plays golf with the police commissioner. Who do you think they'll believe? The respectable businessman whose fiancée was stolen? Or the notorious playboy with a history of conquest?" Victor took a step toward Charles, his hands clenched into fists. Naomi grabbed his arm. "He's not worth it," she said quietly. "Please, Victor." The tension crackled between the two men. Finally, Charles stepped back. "This isn't over, Naomi," he said. "I've been more than patient, more than generous. But there are limits to my goodwill." "Your goodwill?" Naomi laughed bitterly. "You had me tracked like an animal. You threatened my friends. That's not goodwill, Charles. That's control. You'll regret choosing him over me," Charles said, his voice cold with fury. He looked at Victor. "And you? Enjoy her while it lasts. She'll bore you eventually, just like all the others." With that parting shot, he got back into his car and drove away, tires squealing on the pavement. Naomi turned to Victor, who was still watching the retreating car with murderous eyes. "Is it true, what he said about your reputation?" Victor's jaw tightened. "I've dated, yes. The press has exaggerated it into something it's not. Why didn't you tell me? Because it's not relevant to our situation." Victor ran a hand through his hair in frustration. "The tabloids love to portray me as some kind of playboy because I'm single and successful. It sells papers." Naomi wasn't sure what to believe. Part of her wanted to trust Victor implicitly, but Charles's words had planted a seed of doubt. What if she was just another conquest to him? "We should go inside," Victor said, breaking into her thoughts. "I don't trust Charles not to come back with reinforcements." Once they were inside, Victor paced the living room like a caged animal. "I should have seen this coming. I underestimated how far he'd go." "What did he mean about limits to his goodwill?" Naomi asked, sinking onto the sofa. "It was a threat," Victor said bluntly. "Men like Charles don't lose gracefully." "I'm scared," Naomi admitted. "Not just for me, but for you too. He seemed serious about causing trouble for your company." Victor stopped pacing and sat beside her. "Don't worry about me or my company. I've dealt with worse threats than Charles Harrison. He's dangerous, Victor. So am I, when provoked." Victor's eyes were hard. "But I'm more concerned about you. He won't give up easily." "What am I going to do? I can't stay hidden away forever." Victor was quiet for a moment, thinking. "You need to establish your independence. Get that job with the foundation. Find an apartment. Build a life he can't control. And in the meantime, you stay here where it's safe." Victor turned to face her fully. "Naomi, I need to ask you something, and I want you to be honest." Her heart skipped. "Okay. Are you still in love with him? Any part of you?" "No," she said without hesitation. "I'm not sure I ever was. I was in love with who I thought he was, not who he really is." Victor nodded, seemingly satisfied with her answer. "Then we'll get through this. Together." The word together hung between them, heavy with implication. Naomi found herself studying Victor's face. The strong jaw, the intelligent eyes, the rarely seen smile that transformed his serious demeanor. In just 2 weeks, this man had become more important to her than she wanted to admit. "Victor, what, is this between us?" she asked, needing clarity. "Charles assumes we're involved, but we haven't even— I know what we haven't done," Victor said softly, "and I know what I want to do." He reached out and touched her cheek, a gesture so tender it made her breath catch. Slowly, giving her every chance to pull away, he leaned forward and kissed. Her? It was gentle at first, almost hesitant, so different from Charles's demanding kisses. Then Naomi responded, and the kiss deepened, filled with a hunger that surprised them both. His arms went around her, pulling her closer, and she melted against him, feeling truly desired, for perhaps the first time in her life. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Victor rested his forehead against hers. "I've wanted to do that since the day I found you hiding in my gazebo," Naomi smiled. "Even soaking wet in a wedding dress?" especially then," he admitted, with a rare grin. "You looked like some wild, desperate creature who'd do anything to be free." It was captivating. His honesty touched her. With Charles, everything had been calculated, compliments designed to flatter, affection timed for maximum effect. Victor's raw admission felt real in a way nothing with Charles ever had. "I'm scared of this," she whispered. "Whatever this is between us, it's happening so fast, and I just got out of one relationship that turned toxic." "I know." Victor's thumb traced her lower lip. "We can take it as slow as you need, but I'm not Charles, Naomi. I don't want to own you or control you. I just want to be with you." "Why me? You could have anyone." Victor's expression turned serious. "Because you're real. You ran from a life most women would kill for. Because you refuse to compromise who you are. That kind of courage is rare." His words warmed her from within. She leaned in and kissed him again, savoring the feeling of being wanted for herself, not for who someone else wanted her to be. They spent the evening on the sofa, talking and kissing, like teenagers discovering first love. Victor told her stories of building his business, the failures, along with the successes. Naomi shared memories of her father, the dreams she'd had before meeting Charles, the person she wanted to become again. When she finally went up to bed, Victor walked her to her door. "Good night, Naomi," he said, brushing a soft kiss against her lips. "Good night," she replied, reluctant to let the evening end. "Victor, thank you for being patient with me," he smiled. "Some things are worth waiting for." The next morning, Naomi woke to the smell of coffee and found Victor in the kitchen attempting to make pancakes. The domestic scene was so unexpected that she laughed out loud. "What?" he asked, looking up from the smoking pan. "The great Victor Blackwood defeated by breakfast," she teased, coming to his rescue. "Here, let me show you." She took over, salvaging what she could of the batter. As they ate, Victor seemed almost shy, a stark contrast to his usual confidence. "About last night," he began. "Do you regret it?" Naomi asked, suddenly anxious. "No," he said firmly. "Not at all. I just want to make sure you don't. This situation is complicated, and the last thing I want is to take advantage." "You're not," she assured him. "Last night was—" She blushed. "It was exactly what I needed." Relief crossed his face. "Good, because I'd like to do it again. Often." They shared a smile full of promise. For the first time since running from her wedding, Naomi felt hopeful about the future. That afternoon, while Victor was on a conference call in his office, Naomi decided to surprise him with dinner. She found a simple pasta recipe online and made a grocery list. Since Victor's house was outside the delivery range of most stores, she would need to go shopping herself. On impulse, she called Melissa. "Can you pick me up? I need to go grocery shopping and I could use some friend time." Melissa arrived 20 minutes later, full of questions and hugs. As they drove to the store, Naomi filled her in on the basics, leaving out some of the more intimate details of her relationship with Victor. "So you're living with this rich, handsome guy who rescued you from Charles," Melissa summarized. "Girl, that's some romance novel stuff right there." Naomi laughed. "It's not like that. Victor's been a good friend." "Just a friend?" Melissa raised an eyebrow. "The way your face lights up when you say his name tells a different story." Naomi blushed. "Maybe more than friends. It's new, Mel, and complicated, because of Charles." "Partly," Naomi sighed. "He won't let go. He showed up at Victor's place. Yesterday made threats." Melissa frowned. "That's scary, Naomi. Charles always seemed so perfect on the surface, but there was something off about him, like he was playing a role. "Exactly," Naomi exclaimed. "With Victor, what you see is what you get. He doesn't pretend to be anything he's not." "Speaking of Charles," Melissa said, her voice dropping, "he's been spreading some pretty nasty rumors about you and Victor, saying you were having an affair for months, that you planned the whole wedding escape together." Naomi felt sick. "That's ridiculous. I only met Victor the day I ran. I know that. But Charles is convincing, and he's got his family's PR team working overtime." Melissa gave her a sympathetic look. "Your mom's been backing him up, too." "Of course she has," Naomi said bitterly. "She's always loved Charles more than she loved me." At the grocery store, Naomi tried to push thoughts of Charles aside and focus on dinner. She selected fresh ingredients, planning a simple but delicious meal. As they were checking out, Melissa nudged her. "Don't look now, but that woman by the magazine rack keeps staring at you." Naomi glanced over to see a stylish woman in her 40s, pretending to browse magazines while watching them. When their eyes met, the woman quickly looked away. "Probably one of Charles's society friends," Naomi whispered. "Let's get out of here." They paid and hurried to the car. As Melissa drove back toward Victor's house, Naomi kept checking the rearview mirror. "I think we're being followed," she said. Spotting a black sedan that had been behind them since they left the store, Melissa accelerated slightly. "What should we do?" "Don't go directly to Victor's," Naomi decided. "Drive around a bit. See if they stay with us." The sedan maintained its distance, but definitely followed their turns. After 15 minutes of random driving, Melissa pulled into a busy shopping center. "Let's lose them in the crowd," she suggested. They parked and quickly entered the mall, weaving through shoppers until they found a service exit on the opposite side. From there, they doubled back to the car through a different route and managed to leave without being followed. "That was terrifying," Melissa said, as they finally approached Victor's gate. "Charles is really stalking you." "He won't let me go," Naomi said quietly. "He sees me as his property." At the gate, Naomi entered the security code Victor had given her. As they drove up to the house, she saw Victor on the front steps, his expression a mixture of relief and anger. "Where have you been?" he demanded as soon as she got out of the car. "You didn't leave a note. You didn't answer your phone." "I'm sorry," Naomi said, realizing she'd left her phone charging in her room. "I wanted not to surprise you with dinner." Victor ran a hand through his hair, his agitation clear. "I was worried something had happened to you." Melissa watched the exchange with interest. "So you must be Victor," she said, extending her hand. "I'm Melissa, Naomi's best friend." Victor shook her hand, his manner cooling into polite reserve. "Nice to meet you. Thank you for bringing Naomi home safely." "She's lucky to have found you," Melissa said, giving Naomi a meaningful look. "I should get going." After Melissa left, Victor helped Naomi bring the groceries inside. His earlier anger had faded, but he was still tense. "You shouldn't have gone out without telling me," he said as they unpacked the bags. "Not with Charles on the warpath." "I'm not a prisoner here, Victor," Naomi replied, a hint of defiance in her voice. "I can't live in fear of Charles forever. I know that. But we need to be careful until we know what he's planning." Victor set down a tomato with more force than necessary. "Someone followed you from the store, didn't they?" Naomi stared at him. "How did you know?" "Because I had you followed too," he admitted. "What?" Naomi stepped back, shocked. "You had me followed without telling me?" "For your protection," Victor explained quickly. "My security team has been keeping an eye on you whenever you leave the property. They reported the black sedan tailing you, but lost track when you went into the mall." "That's..." Naomi struggled to find the right word. That's controlling, Victor. Just like Charles. Victor's expression hardened. I'm nothing like Charles. I'm trying to keep you safe by making decisions about my safety without my knowledge or consent. How is that different? Because I'm not doing it to control you. Victor's voice rose in frustration. I'm doing it because I care about you, and Charles is a genuine threat. Naomi took a deep breath, trying to calm her racing heart. Part of her understood Victor's reasoning, but another part felt betrayed. You should have told me, she said firmly. Relationships need trust, Victor. Honesty. Victor was quiet for a moment, his expression unreadable. Then he nodded slowly. You're right. I should have told you. I'm sorry. His apology surprised her. Charles had never apologized for anything. He would have justified his actions, turned it around to make her the unreasonable one. I'm not used to this, Victor admitted. Caring about someone the way I care about you. It makes me irrational sometimes. The vulnerability in his confession melted her anger. I care about you too. That's why I need you to be straight with me. No secrets. No decisions about my life without my input. Agreed. Victor reached for her hand. No more secrets. As they prepared dinner together, the tension gradually eased. By the time they sat down to eat, they were laughing again. The argument behind them. Later that evening, as they sat close together on the sofa, Victor's phone rang. His expression turned serious as he answered it. Yes, when? He listened intently. I see. Keep me updated. When he hung up, Naomi knew something was wrong. What is it? That was my security team, Victor said, his voice tight. Charles has been busy today. He's filed a restraining order against me, claiming I've been threatening him, and he's spoken to the press. Tomorrow's society page will feature a story about how I stole his fiancée. Naomi felt the blood drain from her face. This is my fault. No, Victor said firmly, taking her hands in his. This is Charles trying to control the narrative. But we can fight back. How? Victor's eyes met hers, determination burning in their depths. By showing him, showing everyone, that what we have is real, not some scandal, not some affair, something worth fighting for. The intensity in his gaze made Naomi's heart race. In that moment, she knew that whatever happened next, she wasn't facing it alone. Victor Blackwood, with all his strength and all his flaws, was standing beside her. And for the first time since she'd run from her wedding, Naomi felt truly strong enough to face whatever Charles might throw at them next. The headline in the Society section of the morning paper was just as bad as Victor had warned. Tech tycoon steals society bride. The article painted Naomi as a gold digger who had traded up from Charles to Victor, and portrayed Victor as a predatory homewrecker who had pursued his business rival's fiancée. Naomi felt sick as she read the quotes from anonymous sources, close to the couple, describing a months-long affair that culminated in her dramatic wedding day escape. This is awful, she said, pushing the paper away. Everyone will believe we were sneaking around behind Charles's back. Victor, already dressed for work in a perfectly tailored suit, looked grim but determined. Charles is trying to control the story. We can't let him. How do we fight this? It's his word against ours, and he has the press in his pocket. We tell our truth, Victor said simply, starting today. He explained his plan over breakfast. They would attend a charity gala that evening, the same one Victor had received an invitation for days earlier. It was a major social event where most of the city's elite would be present, including Charles and his family. You want us to walk into a room full of people who've just read this garbage about us? Naomi asked, alarmed. Everyone will be staring and whispering. Exactly, Victor nodded. and they'll see us together, dignified and honest, not hiding, like we've done something wrong. I don't know if I'm brave enough for that, Naomi admitted. Victor reached across the table and took her hand. You ran from your wedding rather than marry a man who would control you. That took incredible courage. This is just another form of standing up for yourself. His faith in her was both touching and terrifying. What about the restraining order Charles filed against you? My lawyers are handling it. It's baseless. A temporary order that won't hold up in court. Victor squeezed her hand. But there's something else you should know. Dr. Winters called this morning. The foundation wants to offer you the job. Naomi's eyes widened. Really? Even after the article? Eleanor Winters doesn't care about gossip. She cares about finding the right person for the job. Victor smiled. And she thinks that's you. For the first time that morning, Naomi felt a spark of hope. When do I start? Monday, if you accept. The salary is quite good, and it comes with an apartment in the foundation's residential building downtown. Naomi blinked. An apartment. Many of their employees live there. It's secure, comfortable, close to work. The implication was clear. She would be moving out of Victor's house. Naomi felt a confusing mix of emotions. On one hand, having her own place represented the independence she'd been seeking. On the other hand, the thought of leaving Victor made her heart ache. That's great, she said, trying to sound enthusiastic. Victor studied her face. You don't have to decide about the apartment right away. The job is yours regardless. I should take it, shouldn't I? The apartment, I mean. It would show I'm not just moving from one man's house to another. Something flickered in Victor's eyes. Disappointment, perhaps. It would give you independence. That's what you wanted. Naomi nodded, though she wasn't sure anymore what she wanted. 3 weeks ago, her future had seemed mapped out. Marriage. To Charles. A life of social obligations and carefully managed appearances. Now, everything was uncertain, and the only constant was the man sitting across from her. About tonight, she said, changing the subject. I don't have anything to wear to a gala. Already taken care of, Victor assured her. Mia has arranged for a stylist to bring over some options this afternoon. Whatever you choose is yours to keep. Victor, you can't keep buying me things. I need to stand on my own. He looked genuinely puzzled. Why can't I do both? Support you while you're building your independence? The question caught her off guard. Charles had always framed his gifts as creating obligation. After everything I've given you was a phrase he'd used often. Victor's generosity felt different, with no strings attached. I'm not used to help that doesn't come with conditions, she admitted. Victor's expression softened. Get used to it. Later that morning, Dr. Winters called to formally offer Naomi the position. The conversation was warm and encouraging, with no mention of the newspaper article. We're thrilled to have you join us, Dr. Winters said. Your ideas about expanding access to quality early education align perfectly with our mission. When Naomi hung up, she felt a rush of excitement and pride. This was a real opportunity, something she'd earned on her own merits. She immediately called Melissa to share the news. I got the job, she exclaimed when her friend answered. That's amazing. I knew you would, Melissa replied. But are you okay? I saw the article this morning. I'm trying not to let it bother me. Victor says we need to face it head on. Is that why you're going to the Gardner Foundation Gala tonight? It's all over social media that you two are attending. Naomi was surprised. How do people know that already? Someone leaked the guest list. Charles is definitely going to be there too. Melissa paused. Are you sure this is a good idea? It could get ugly, probably not. But hiding makes us look guilty. Naomi sighed. I'm nervous, but Victor will be with me. You really care about him, don't you? Yes, Naomi admitted. More than I expected to. It's not just gratitude, Mel. He sees me the real me, and he likes what he sees. I'm happy for you, Melissa said sincerely. Just be careful tonight. Charles won't make this easy. After they hung up, Naomi spent the afternoon with the stylist Victor had arranged. Among the selection of evening gowns, one immediately caught her eye. A simple but elegant emerald green dress that fit her perfectly. This is the one, she told the stylist. When Victor saw her in the dress that evening, his reaction was everything she'd hoped for. He stopped mid-sentence, his eyes widening with appreciation. You look stunning, he said simply. So do you, she replied, admiring how handsome he looked in his tuxedo. We make a good team. The best, he offered his arm. Ready to face the lions? Naomi took a deep breath. As ready as I'll ever be, the Gardner Foundation Gala was held at the city's most prestigious hotel. As Victor's car pulled up to the entrance, Naomi could see photographers lined up along the red carpet. They're not usually here for charity events, Victor observed grimly. Charles must have tipped them off. Should we go in another way? Victor shook his head. No hiding, remember? We have nothing to be ashamed of. When they stepped out of the car, the photographers surged forward, flashbulbs going off in rapid succession. Questions were shouted at, them from all directions. Naomi, why did you leave Charles at the altar? Victor, how long were you seeing Naomi before the wedding? Is it true Charles has filed charges against you? Victor placed a protective hand on Naomi's lower back, guiding her through the gauntlet with calm dignity. He neither responded to the questions nor hurried their pace, projecting an air of confidence that Naomi tried to emulate. Inside, the grand ballroom was already filled with the city's elite informal attire. Conversations paused as they entered, and Naomi felt hundreds of eyes turn in their direction. The whispering started immediately. Ignore it, Victor murmured. Head high. Dr. Winters approached them first, a welcome, friendly face in the sea of judgment. Victor, Naomi, I'm so glad you could make it. She kissed Naomi's cheek. And congratulations again on joining our team. Her public show of support sent a clear message to the room. Soon other colleagues of Victor's came to greet. Them, some bringing their spouses to introduce. Not everyone was welcoming. Naomi noticed several people deliberately turning away or watching with open disapproval. But enough were civil that she began to relax slightly until she saw Charles. He was across the room, surrounded by his usual entourage, including Naomi's mother. When he spotted them, his false smile froze in place. He leaned down to whisper something to Diane, who turned to stare at her daughter with a mixture of anger and hurt. My mother's here, Naomi said quietly to Victor. With Charles, Victor followed her gaze. Do you want to speak with her? Naomi hesitated. I should at least try. They made their way around the perimeter of the room, stopping to chat briefly with various guests. By the time they approached Diane, Charles had conveniently disappeared. Mom, Naomi said cautiously. I didn't expect to see you here. Diane's expression was cool. Charles thought I should come, show support for the family during this difficult time. The family, Naomi repeated. Mom, I'm your family, and you abandoned your family obligations without a thought for anyone but yourself. Diane's gaze shifted to Victor. For him. Victor stepped forward. Mrs. Sinclair, I understand you're upset, but the situation isn't what you think. I know exactly what it is, Diane snapped. My daughter threw away a perfect match for a man with a notorious reputation. Charles told me all about you, Mr. Blackwood. I'm sure he did, Victor replied evenly. But did he tell you he was tracking Naomi's movements? Or that he's been threatening her since she left? Diane looked startled. That's ridiculous. Charles adores Naomi. No, Mom. Charles wants to control me, Naomi said firmly. There's a difference. You've known this man for what? 3 weeks? Diane gestured dismissively at Victor. And suddenly, you're an expert on relationships. Charles was willing to give you everything. Except the freedom to be myself, Naomi replied. I know this is hard for you to understand, but I wasn't happy with Charles. I would have been miserable as his wife. Diane's expression hardened. You've made your choice. I hope you don't regret it when he moves on to his next conquest. With that, she walked away. Naomi blinked back tears. That went well. Victor's arm slid around her waist, steadying her. Give her time. She's been influenced by Charles's version of events. What if she never comes around? Then it's her loss, Victor said simply. You deserve people in your life who support your happiness, not just their idea of what your life should be. His words warmed her from within. Despite the stares and whispers surrounding them, Naomi felt stronger with Victor beside her. They made their way to their assigned table, where they were joined by Dr. Winters and several Foundation board members, all of whom treated Naomi with respect. Halfway through dinner, Charles approached their table. He was smiling, but his eyes were cold. Naomi, Victor, how nice to see you both. His voice carried just enough to attract attention from nearby tables. I'm surprised you had the courage to show your faces here tonight. Victor stood, placing himself slightly in front of Naomi. We have nothing to hide, Harrison. No? Then, perhaps Naomi won't mind explaining to everyone how long your affair was going on before she left me at the altar. Charles looked around at the now silent tables nearby. The society pages have it at 3 months. Is that accurate? Naomi stood up, her heart pounding, but her voice steady. There was no affair, Charles. I met Victor the day I left our wedding. I ran because I finally realized what kind to have man you really are. Charles's smile tightened. And what kind of man is that? The kind who puts tracking devices in his fiancé's clothes, Naomi said clearly. The kind who threatens her friends when she leaves him. The kind who uses his influence to spread lies when he doesn't get his way. A murmur spread through the nearby tables. Charles's face flushed with anger. You ungrateful little, he began. Stepping toward her, Victor moved quickly, blocking his path. That's enough, Harrison. Walk away while you still can. For a tense moment, it seemed Charles might physically lash out. Then a photographer approached, camera ready, and Charles's public mask slipped back into place. This isn't over, he said, quietly, before turning to leave. As he walked away, Naomi noticed several people watching the exchange with newly thoughtful expressions. Her public accusation about the tracking devices had clearly made an impression. You were magnificent, Victor murmured when they sat back down. I was terrified, she admitted. But it felt good to tell the truth. The rest of the evening passed, without further confrontation. By the time they left, Naomi had received several supportive comments from women who had witnessed her stand against Charles, including the wife of the mayor, who whispered, Good for you, dear. That man always gave me the creeps. In the car heading home, Naomi finally relaxed against Victor's shoulder. We survived. More than survived, Victor corrected. You changed some minds tonight. People aren't stupid. They can recognize truth when they hear it. Do you think Charles will back off now? Victor's expression grew serious. Not yet. Men, like Charles, don't give up easily. But we've shown him we won't be intimidated. Back at Victor's house, they settled in the living room with glasses of wine, both needing to unwind after the emotional evening. "I should call the foundation tomorrow," Naomi said, kicking off her heels. "Accept the apartment offer." Victor was quiet for a moment. "Is that what you want? It makes sense, doesn't it? I can't stay here forever." "Why not?" The question was simple but loaded with meaning. Naomi looked at him, her heart beating faster. "What are you saying, Victor?" "I'm saying I don't want you to go." He set down his wine glass and moved closer to her on the sofa. "These past weeks with you have been... I can't remember the last time I felt this alive, this connected to someone." "I feel it too," she admitted. "But it's all happening so fast. I just got out of one relationship." "I know." Victor took her hands in his. "And I'm not asking you to jump into another one. I'm just asking you not to leave yet. Give us time to figure out what this is between us." The vulnerability in his eyes touched her deeply. This brilliant, powerful man was opening himself up to her in a way she suspected few people ever saw. "Okay," she said softly. "I'll stay. For now." The relief on his face was immediate. He leaned forward and kissed her gently. "For now," he agreed. "We'll take it one day at a time." The next morning, Naomi called Dr. Winters to accept the job, but declined the apartment for the time being. The director was understanding, making no comment about Naomi's living arrangements. "We're thrilled to have you joining us," she said warmly. "I'll have HR send over the paperwork today." As Naomi hung up, her phone buzzed with a text from Melissa. "Check your email. You need to see this." With a sense of foreboding, Naomi opened her email to find a message from Melissa with a link to a new article in the Society pages. The headline made her gasp. "Harrison family reveals shocking truth about runaway bride." The article was devastating, a character assassination, claiming Naomi had a history of trading up from one wealthy man to another, citing evidence from her past relationships. It quoted anonymous friends, describing her as calculating and opportunistic. Worst of all, it included an old photo of her with a college boyfriend, falsely identified as a previous fiancé she had also abandoned. "This is all lies," she said when Victor read it. "I've never been engaged before. That picture is from college. Jake and I dated for 6 months." Victor's expression was thunderous. "Charles is getting desperate. These kinds of smear tactics are a sign of weakness, not strength." "But people will believe it," Naomi said, pacing the living room. "Even the foundation might reconsider hiring me after this." "They won't," Victor assured her. "Eleanor knows character assassination when she sees it." "My mother probably helped with this," Naomi said bitterly. "She's the only one who would have access to my old photos." Victor pulled out his phone. Time to fight back. Over the next hour, he made several calls, speaking in terse, authoritative tones to various associates. When he finished, he looked grimly satisfied. "What did you do?" Naomi asked. "Called in some favors. The newspaper will be printing a retraction tomorrow, with an apology for publishing unverified claims." He paused. "And Charles is about to discover that attempting to manipulate public opinion can backfire." "Meaning?" "Meaning my company provides security software to most of the major corporations in this city, including his father's firm. I've personally requested an audit of their systems." Victor's smile was cold. "They won't pass. They never do." "Isn't that using your power just like Charles uses his?" Naomi asked carefully. Victor considered this. "Perhaps. But the difference is I'm not fabricating evidence or spreading lies. Their systems really do need updating. They're vulnerable to attack. I'm just moving them to the front of the audit schedule." Before Naomi could respond, her phone rang. It was Dr. Winters. "Naomi, I've just seen that disgraceful article," the director said without preamble. "I want you to know it changes nothing about our job offer. In fact, the foundation is issuing a statement of support for you this afternoon." Tears of relief filled Naomi's eyes. "Thank you, Eleanor. That means more than I can say." "We protect our own," Dr. Winters said firmly. "And for what it's worth, I've known Charles Harrison since he was a child. He was a bully then, and he's a bully now. You made the right choice leaving him." After hanging up, Naomi relayed the conversation to Victor, who nodded approvingly. "Eleanor is a force of nature. Having her in your corner is worth more than a dozen society columnists. The Foundation's public support proved to be a turning point." Over the next few days, the narrative began to shift. Other women came forward with stories about Charles's controlling behavior in previous relationships. Business associates quietly distanced themselves from the Harrison family. The final blow came a week later, when the security audit Victor had initiated revealed significant vulnerabilities in the Harrison Corporation systems. Vulnerabilities that could have exposed client data. The resulting scramble to address the issues dominated business news, giving Charles little time or energy to continue his vendetta against Naomi. Through it all, Naomi found strength she didn't know she possessed. She started her new job at the Foundation, throwing herself into work she truly cared about. Each evening, she returned to Victor's house, their house as she was beginning to think of it, and shared the day's events over dinner. Their relationship deepened gradually, built on mutual respect and genuine affection. Victor continued to encourage her independence, even as they grew closer. He attended her Foundation events, listened to her ideas, and never once suggested she change to fit his world. 1 month after the gala confrontation, Naomi's mother finally called. "I owe you an apology," Diane said, her voice subdued. "I should have listened to you about Charles." "What changed your mind?" Naomi asked, surprised by the sudden reversal. "The photos," Diane admitted. "Charles asked me for your old pictures, said he wanted to make a special wedding album to convince you to come back. Instead, he used them for that awful article. I knew you must have given them to him," Naomi said quietly. "I'm sorry, sweetheart. I really thought he loved you." Diane paused, and I was wrong about Victor too. Charles told me terrible things about him, but the Foundation director, Eleanor, she set me straight, said he's one of the most honorable men she knows. "He is," Naomi confirmed, looking across the garden to where Victor was on a business call, his free hand gesturing emphatically as he spoke. "He's been my refuge through all of this." "Do you love him?" Diane asked directly. The question caught Naomi off guard, though she'd been thinking about it herself. "Yes," she said simply. "I do. Then I'd like to meet him properly, without Charles's influence poisoning my judgment." Naomi smiled, hope blooming in her chest. "I'd like that." That evening, as they walked through the garden after dinner, Naomi told Victor about her mother's call. "She wants to meet you," she concluded. "The real you, not Charles's version." Victor looked pleased, but cautious. "I'm glad she's coming. Around, family relationships are important." "They are," Naomi agreed, stopping by the gazebo where they'd first met. "Speaking of which, I talked to Helena yesterday." Victor's eyebrows shot up. "My sister called you?" "Actually, I called her," Naomi admitted. "I wanted to thank her." "For what?" "For being the reason you helped me that day. If she hadn't gone through what she did with her ex, you might have sent me away from your gazebo. So in a way, I owe her everything." Victor's expression softened. "What did she say?" "That you've changed. That you sound happier than she's heard you in years." Naomi stepped closer to him. "Are you happier?" "Yes," he said without hesitation. "You've brought something into my life I didn't even realize was missing." He took her hands. "I've been thinking, Naomi, about the future, about us." Her heart skipped. What about us? I know it's only been a few months. I know you're just getting established at the foundation, building your independence, but I don't want to lose you." Victor's eyes were intense, vulnerable. "I love you, Naomi. I think I have since the day I found you hiding in this gazebo." Tears welled in Naomi's eyes. "I love you too, Victor. I'm not asking for marriage or even living together permanently if you're not ready," he continued. "I just want you to know that whatever you need, time, space, support, I'm here for as long as you want me." Naomi's mind flashed back to Charles, to his demands and expectations, his need to control her life. The contrast with the man before her, offering love without conditions, supporting her choices even when they might lead her away from him, couldn't have been clearer. "What I need," she said softly, stepping into his arms, "is you. Just you. Victor, the man who gave me refuge when I was at my lowest, the man who believed in me when I barely believed in myself." He held her close, his heartbeat strong and steady against her cheek. "I'll never try to cage you, Naomi. I promise you that." "I know," she whispered. "That's why I'm not afraid to love you." They stood together in the gazebo where their story had begun, as the setting sun painted the garden in gold. 2 months ago, Naomi had been a desperate bride fleeing from a cage disguised as privilege. Now she stood in the arms of a man who showed her that true love wasn't about possession, but freedom. The freedom to be herself, to grow, to dream. Running from a wedding, she had found something far more precious, a love that didn't confine, but liberated. A heart that offered not a gilded cage, but a true refuge. And in that refuge, Naomi Sinclair had found not only safety, but herself. 6 months later, the Gardner Foundation held its annual fundraising gala. This time, Naomi attended not as Victor's controversial date, but as the Foundation's successful early education program director, with Victor proudly at her side. Charles was notably absent from the event. His family's influence had waned following several business setbacks, and rumors suggested he had taken an extended trip abroad to reconnect with his roots, a phrase everyone understood as face-saving exile until the scandal blew over. Naomi's mother attended as her guest, now fully supportive of her daughter's relationship with Victor. Diane had even started volunteering at one of the Foundation's preschool programs, rekindling her own former career as an early childhood educator. The evening wound down. Victor led Naomi out to the hotel's rooftop garden, away from the crowd. "I have something for you," he said, pulling a small box from his pocket. Naomi's heart raced. "Victor, it's not what you think," he assured her quickly. "Or maybe it is, but not in the way you might expect." He opened the box to reveal not an engagement ring, but a simple gold key. "What's this?" she asked, taking it from the velvet cushion. "A key to your own place," Victor explained. "I bought the building next to the Foundation. It's being renovated into a model preschool facility, with an apartment upstairs for the director." Naomi stared at him in shock. "You bought a building? For me?" "For the Foundation," he corrected with a smile. "But yes, the apartment is for you, if you want it. A place that's truly yours, independent of me or anyone else." "Victor, I don't understand. We've been living together for months. Why would you want me to move out?" "I don't want you to move out," he said earnestly. "I want you to have choices. I want you to stay with me because you want to, not because you have no alternative." The thoughtfulness of the gesture brought tears to her eyes. Even now, after all they'd shared, Victor was still prioritizing her independence. "And there's this too," he added, pulling a second, smaller box from his pocket. This one did contain a ring, a simple but elegant diamond. Not for now, for whenever you're ready, whether that's next month, or next year, or never. Naomi looked from the key to the ring, then up at the man who had changed her life in ways she never could have imagined when she ran from her wedding all those months ago. "I already know my choice," she said, closing her hand around the key. "My choice is you, Victor. It has been since the day you found me in your gazebo. Are you sure?" he asked, the vulnerability in his eyes touching her heart. "I don't want to rush you." "I'm sure," she affirmed, stepping into his arms. "But I'll keep the key anyway. Every woman needs a refuge of her own, even when she's found a refuge in someone else's heart." Victor smiled, the rare, full smile that still made her heart skip. "So we'll have two homes, one together, one that's just yours." "Perfect," Naomi agreed, kissing him under the stars. Because true love isn't about possession, it's about freedom. And as Victor slipped the ring onto her finger, Naomi knew she had found both: the freedom to be herself, and the love that made that freedom meaningful. After all she had been through, she had discovered that sometimes the most unexpected refuge could become the most perfect home. The end.